Welcome to the Tourpreneur Podcast. Travel industry veteran Shane Whaley will take you on a journey with fellow tourpreneurs, sharing their tips, ideas, insights, and success stories to inspire you to make your tour business the best it can be. And now, here is your host, Shane Whaley.
Hello and welcome to episode 68 of the Tourpreneur Podcast. On today's show, we're going to talk about how we can bulletproof our mentality. We don't speak about mental health often enough in entrepreneurial circles. And when you look at most of the free webinars that are out there right now for tourpreneurs, as great as they are, most of them are tackling business issues or tech issues or finance issues. And our brain, our mentality, our mindset is probably the most important thing that we can work on right now as we get through this crisis. On this episode, Miranda Peterson from Namaste in Nature, she was on an earlier episode of the Tourpreneur Podcast. She runs tours down in North Carolina. She's also, I think, 500 hours of yoga instruction. So she really knows her stuff when it comes to personal wellness. Now, don't worry about the whole woo-woo thing here, because I'm the least woo-woo person you can come across. But there is a lot of what Miranda is sharing that we can implement in our lives. And it's things that she's sharing on YouTube. She's put a channel together. She's got some great videos and resources. We talk about the importance of movement in terms of our bodies, mindfulness, how we can get a restful night's sleep, some tips on nutrition. Also, I share about some habits I'm bringing in. And also because, like I said, I'm drinking too much, I'm eating too much cheese, and it's like, okay, this needs to stop. And I also need to use this downtime to say, okay, what were all those things I wanted to learn that I never got around to? What were those books I wanted to read that I never got time to do? I share how listening to music to me, how I reserve time where I will just listen to music and switch everything off, how that's helping me get through this crisis. So like I say, a little bit different content today, but very grateful for Miranda because she actually sent me an email about a week and a half ago that said here to help. And that's what got me thinking, because it was uplifting at the time that someone cared enough about me to send me an email with help. And I wanted to share that with you on today's show. So the show notes for all the resources we talk about are tourpreneur.com/68. And if you've got hacks or tips or habits, that's getting you through these very troubling times, do come on our Facebook group, share it with the rest of us. We're all keen to learn. You can find that at tourpreneur.com/Facebook. Welcome back to Tourpreneur, Miranda. How are you?
I'm actually doing really well and really grateful for that.
Yeah, absolutely. You're looking well. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to chat with you today on the show, because you very kindly, I think a week or so ago, sent an email. So I've been flooded with email like most of us are. Mm-hmm. And I saw this email pop up in my inbox and it said, here to help. And then I saw it was from you. And I have to tell you, it was at a time when I think most of us, the first 2 weeks of this crisis hitting, were in some kind of paralysis, really not knowing what to do next. Certainly when you're a content creator, you have to get the tone right because you can't be tone deaf. And also it's like, well, my usual show is people like you. You came on and you talked to us about your origin and your journey and how you got started and how you're growing your business. Nobody wants to hear that right now. Right? Because for many of us, we don't know if we're going to have a business this time next month. So I've had to pivot. So I was really struggling. And then I got your message through here to help. And it dawned on me that I wasn't really taking care of the mental side of things or even the physical side of things. Like most tour operators and tourpreneurs, it was waking up with, dread every morning. The news is worse, gets worse and worse every day. We watch it. There's not much good news out there. So to get your email offering help, I have to say to you, came at the right time for me because I was struggling.
Oh my God, if I was a crier, I would be crying right now.
Yeah, and I don't share this kind of stuff too often, but I just wanted to say what a powerful impact that had on me. And of course, I know you, we've met and you've been on the show, so it wasn't like this was some random cold email from somebody I don't know. And I know you're very sincere, you're genuine, and you're authentic. So
thank you.
And then it got me there, and I wrote back to you and said, hey, do you want to come on the show and talk about this? Because I think there's a lot of shows and a lot of webinars right now which are focusing on the financial side of running a business, marketing in a downturn, how we prepare and how we deal with this coronavirus pandemic. But I'm not seeing much out there about, hey, hang on, how do we take care of ourselves in terms of our mental health and our physical health? I thought it'd be great for you to come on the show and just share a few tips from your own experience about what you think tour operators of all ages and sizes, can do in order to bulletproof the mindset and keep sane, basically.
Yeah. There are several tools that I use, and that's what inspired me to start making the videos. Well, number one, all my reservations for yoga hikes have canceled. And so I kind of had to pivot. I already had a YouTube channel that I was starting to build, but this kind of forced me to dive in and really go headfirst into creating content and videos on YouTube. And, I have to be honest with you, I was in the same boat, like that Friday when everything started closing, and every time I check my inbox, there's another cancellation, and just everything on the news and social media, everyone was starting to freak out, and I didn't share that same panic. And I was like, oh, is there something wrong with me? And I'm not running out hoarding toilet paper, and I just was kind of paralyzed that day as well. I was like, what do I do? I think, this is obviously bad for a lot of people, but there are ways to deal with it, and tools that I've been using for a long time, which are meditation, yoga, spending time outside, journaling, gratitude, all these things that are free and that you can do quarantined safely from your house. And so after that day, I just took it to kind of talk with friends on the phone and gather my thoughts. And that night I was like, I need to go outside. Anytime I'm feeling like anxious or overwhelmed or depressed, I just immediately go outside, even if it's just the backyard, and getting that vitamin D from the sun, getting that fresh air, walking, getting some movement and motion. Immediately I feel better. Yeah. And then I was like, okay, I need to start sharing these tools that I have with other people. So I went to one of my favorite locations and filmed the walking meditation and an immune boosting yoga video and an immune boosting meditation. So the basic thing that I keep coming back to is I saw this as a self-fulfilling prophecy, because when you're really stressed, you're really anxious, this activates your sympathetic nervous system and releases cortisol and stress hormones into the body, which can lower your immune system. So you might have been fine before, but now we're all stressing about taking care of kids, taking care of family, being safe, being healthy, our jobs, and all of this stress, can lower our immune system. And so by activating the parasympathetic nervous system, this is our rest and digest, by using meditation, walking, calming yourself, moving, helping move toxins through the body and keep yourself healthy, it'll help boost your immunity.
So let's talk what I think is the easiest one of these for most people to do, which is going for a walk. Yeah. Now, it just depends where you live. I'm lucky. I live in a very rural state in the middle of nowhere, so I can go for a walk and not see anybody. I know if you're living in Manhattan right now, I'm not sure. So, So in terms of walking, what advice do you have for people?
Well, I think just getting outside if you can, even if it's walking circles around your backyard, or just walking around your neighborhood. I'm grateful. I live in kind of a rural neighborhood surrounded by the mountains as well, so we get that nice fresh mountain air, and just being mindful of it. Like, don't keep listening to all of the dread and the paranoia and the uncertainty. Like, maybe unplug from your phone, unless you're listening to a guided meditation or something that's positive and uplifting, or something, or learning a new skill, kind of like you mentioned, maybe listening to an audiobook or a podcast that's going to help you feel better. And just noticing the things around you. So the easiest way to become present and kind of get out of your head where you're stuck worrying about the future or ruminating about the past is to focus on the breath.
Yeah.
So just noticing the inhales and exhales, because that's something we're all doing. That's something we all have access to. We all have to breathe. So just noticing inhales and exhales in your breath, and also noticing the things around you. It can be the grass, it can be trees, it can be the clouds in the sky. There are studies that going for walks outside, being in nature, can help boost your problem solving and creativity skills.
Yeah, and it's funny. A lot of people might dismiss this all as woo-woo, and I am the least woo-woo guy out there. But since this has hit, so I said to myself, right, I'll be honest, the first week, and I think a lot of us did this, the first week was almost like Christmas. And I don't mean in terms of us being happy and joyful, but I was drinking, half a bottle of red wine a night. I was going through cheese like no one's business because I was just like eating and drinking, because it's like, what's the point of worrying about my health right now when I'm worrying about, will I have an income next month? And kind of got into that slump. And then I realized, and I'm like, okay, this has to stop. Like, this cannot continue. And I drew up a set of rules. And one of those rules was I need to walk 6 to 8 miles a day outside, and not just walk, but to really appreciate where I live. And for some of you who are Facebook friends of mine, I've been posting some of those pictures up because it is pretty beautiful where I live.
Oh, great.
But I don't really appreciate it. And I take my dogs out, or I go for a run, I'm doing my thing. And it's like, no, I want to go for a walk, and I want to really appreciate where I live and appreciate the people in my area a bit more. So that, I'm saying this because I'm not a woo-woo kind of guy, but this is how what you're saying is really important and has come into play in my life in the last week. And I have this app and I record every day. I'll talk about the app later on, with these habits that I have to stick to. Otherwise, I'm going to crack up. If I'm stuck at home on social media all day and I'm speaking to 5 or 6 tour operators a day, and no one's got any good news right now. And that's the toughest part of this. It isn't like, well, we're having a tough time in the United States, but Europe is doing well. No, everyone is in the same boat. So there's no real good news. And it's the same with the television news. If you keep listening to that, there's all these talking heads. Nobody knows when this is going to end, right? So I'm like, well, I'll get the headlines. I'll take any information that's important for me and my family for daily life. Then I don't want to watch anymore because I don't think it's serving me in a good way. So I agree with you on walking. Personally, the way I've structured it is my hours walk in the morning. I will listen to an audiobook or a podcast. I'm loving the Arrival Onlines that we're now putting out on podcast form, because that's helping me learn and think and connect with other tour operators and experts as I walk. And in my evening hour, I listen to music or a fun audiobook, because I also just want to take a break from the real world.
Yeah.
And that's been the way I've been doing it. But then I saw on your YouTube video that you, and by the way, the YouTube videos are free here. It's fantastic of you to do this. So you had a guided walking, hiking, meditation video for us to watch as well, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Meditation, people typically think of somebody sitting down, cross-legged, lotus position with their eyes closed, maybe saying Om. That's the traditional picture. But there are many ways to meditate. And when I quit my corporate job in 2015, I backpacked and traveled around the world. And I spent some time meditating with monks in Myanmar and Thailand at Buddhist monasteries. And I learned this walking meditation technique. And it's basically just the slowest steps you've ever taken, and becoming aware of your feet and everything, that you feel underneath your feet, and the sights and sounds and smells that you notice around you. And it's amazing what you notice and become grateful for, like you said, once you stop the talking. Since we're supposed to be 6 feet away from people, it's best to walk maybe by yourself. And I hike by myself all the time. I love it. I get all kinds of insights and clarity and inspiration and peace and joy and happiness. Normally, people like to walk in groups, and it's a social aspect. But yeah, there's a lot to be found in just noticing and appreciating what's around you, which comes back to gratitude. No matter how bad things get, there's always something that you can be grateful for. Like we have running water, we have clean water, we have food and toilet paper in the grocery stores again. I also did a lot of volunteering, and I've been to a lot of countries and places where they don't have access to the resources we have, healthcare Amazon and, you know, all of these things that
Yeah.
we might tend to take for granted, but we still have those. Oh, and another thing I wanted to say, just kind of a cognitive reframe, just changing one word in the sentence. So instead of saying, oh, I'm stuck at home, you can say, I'm safe at home. You know, like your home is where you're safe, where you have your food, where you have your family, where you have access to the outside world through your computer, through your phone. So yeah, instead
You're
of
right.
just thinking I'm stuck at home, I'm safe at home. That's really helped me.
Yeah, absolutely. I watched your guided walking meditation and I tried it. It was quite funny because, as you say, it's very slow. It's very different to go on a walk. And I did giggle to myself because you said to like place your feet on the ground as if you're, you know, giving somebody a nice kiss. And I'm like, my kisses and yours is a very different, Miranda, because I was clumping. I'm like, yeah, I don't think this is what Miranda meant.
Well, that was that was from Thich Nhat Hanh. He's a famous Vietnamese Buddhist monk, and he said, "Walk as if you're kissing the earth with your feet."
That's right. That's
yeah.
right.
Yeah, you're close enough. I knew what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just all about mindfulness and being aware of what's happening in the present moment, which will, you know, keep you from just getting in your head and bogged down with everything that's going on around us. Obviously, we should still be aware of it, not pretend like it doesn't exist, but keep it in perspective. And I think there's another thing that this coronavirus thing has shown us is the illusion of control. Whereas I think we feel like we have control over things, and in reality, we don't, which is another lesson I learned in nature. You know, you go outside, you can't control the weather. You can only control how you prepare for and adapt to it. So I think this virus is showing a lot of people the illusion of control and how we're not in control of things. We just need to prepare and adapt.
Did you know every weekday Shane curates the most interesting news articles in tours and activities and sends them out in a snappy daily digest? Grab your copy of the Tourpreneur Daily Briefing at www.tourpreneur.com.
So going back to journaling, because it's something I've done in the past and I've fallen out of the habit of doing this actually. What advice do you have for tourpreneurs right now who are going through tough times? How can they start journaling and what should they journal about?
Just like yoga and meditation, there's a lot of different techniques to journaling. You can just free write and write whatever you're thinking about. It's a great outlet to kind of release all the thoughts and emotions and energy that you have pent up inside. So you can just set a timer for, say, 5 minutes and just write whatever is coming out. You know, on namastenature.com, on my website, we have a lot of journal prompts that give you suggestions or questions or ideas to journal about. And these relate to, you know, self-reflection and gratitude and love and kindness and all of these things, kind of positive things to journal about. And even if you never read it again, it's super therapeutic. Like, it's gotten me through some rough times with past relationships and, you know, when I was traveling alone by myself and just journaling and getting words on paper. And maybe, you know, either way, it can help to go back and look at these things later and see what your mental state was like to get a better perspective. Or it's just therapeutic writing it at the time. So yeah, I think just buying a book and it's something real too, because we're so, you know, stuck in this digital. I mean, you can obviously journal digitally as well, but I love having a book and a pen in my hand and feeling it and writing it out and seeing the words and seeing my handwriting. It's a lot more personal, like you're communicating with yourself. Versus,
I agree with that.
You know, we're stuck on the technology all day.
Yeah, I agree with that. And it's funny because my handwriting now is terrible, like terrible, because I'm so used to typing that's something many of us will have to overcome when we start journaling, is that be aware. It's hard to get back into it. But I do feel it's the same with learning anything. If you just type it into Evernote or whatever, for me, I don't absorb it as much as I do when I actually write it by hand.
Me too.
So that's a tip I would get, even though it's kind of, you know, the first couple of weeks will feel like a bit of a chore because many of us are not used to handwriting. I think that's good. And then also, like, good that you have the guided prompts. I was going to ask you, I know I was looking on Amazon the other day and there is thousands and thousands of guided journals on there for different aspects of, like, some are really expensive. I was surprised. But I'm sure they look nice and everything else. But, you know, for different, you know, some for men, some for women. Some was a yoga journal, some was a running journal. There's so many different ones out there. But it's something I want to get back into. I actually haven't got the book with me here. What's it called? Oh yeah, Write a Day, I think it was called. And that had a lot of good advice in it because I wanted to kickstart my own writing because I've fallen out that habit. And one thing I used to do years ago was I would write 3 wins for the day.
Yeah,
and they didn't have to be big business wins. It could be I walked my 6 miles today, or I ate plant-based all day or whatever it may be. It doesn't have to be some huge goal, right? It's just...
Yeah, that's another great technique. That's kind of like a gratitude journal. Just, 3 quick sentences each day. You don't have to have a specific length or amount of time or anything like that. And, no one else is going to see it. So you're the only one that has to be able to read your handwriting and know what you wrote. You can even doodle, like draw little drawings and shorthand, it's just for you. So I love that idea. Writing 3 things you're grateful for, or 3 wins, or 3 things you love about yourself, or, just anything to kind of keep the positive emotions and energy going each day.
And again, I know some of our listeners who are probably shaking their heads and saying this is woo-woo stuff, but it works. It got me through my career at Booking.com when I was having tough times. Journaling then, managing 200 staff and journaling was one of the reasons why I was able to be successful there, because there's so much self-reflection that goes, and you get ideas when you go, oh, I might try this tomorrow. And I think in terms of gratitude, I mean, you reached out to me, unsolicited, sent me a wonderful email with some great links in it. And that's something we can all do as well. I've noticed that a few messages lately from people that I don't talk to that often, but I know through Tourpreneur, and they're like, hey, Shane, just checking in. How's it going? I'm here if you need anything. And these people are not selling me anything, right? They're not, cold calling me. They generally, and I think this is something we can all do, is reach out to people that maybe we've lost contact with, or someone that we've just done business with who you like or whatever, and just say, hey, just checking in. How are things going? Because we've all got time at home now. It's not like we're leading tours and training tour guides and everything else. Now we actually are safe at home.
Yes.
Not stuck at home. Because talking to people helps as well, I think.
Oh, for sure. And I think there is a lot of uncertainty and chaos and craziness and things that have happened with this virus, but it's also, I think, inspired a lot of compassion and people wanting to help each other. And so that's been a silver lining, I guess. And I'm same thing. And, I can't interact with people in person. And so I'm like, YouTube is the only way I have to interact with people. So I've been sending these videos. I actually recorded one this weekend because I know a lot of my friends are working from home now. And so you're going to get, that tech neck and shoulders, being stuck at your desk and computer. And especially if you're going down a rabbit hole and you can lose track of time, and, you're just so sore and achy. And so I made a short video today to kind of release tension in the neck and shoulders and wrists and hands. And that was actually suggested by my sister, who lives in Switzerland, because she's working from home as well. And so it's cool. We kind of have that connection. She's been watching some of my videos from there. So that's how we still stay in touch.
Your videos are beautifully shot, by the way.
Thank you. I'm learning.
So you're videoing them yourself, or?
Oh yeah, I'm doing everything myself. I last weekend the trails were still open, and I hiked up to the top of a mountain, took my tripod, took my camera, set it up, filmed myself, hiked back down, came home, edited it, promoted it. Yeah, I do everything.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Again, using this time to learn, because I'm sure you're learning a lot around the editing process, or just every video you look at it and go, that was good. I like that. This would be even better if I did such and such, because I know I feel the same about the podcast. What camera are you using?
I'm using a Canon Rebel T7i.
Wow, it's beautiful. It looks professional to me. Seriously, I was like, wow, you've upped your game here.
Thank you.
Not the videos were bad before or anything, but...
No, I learned. I initially started the channel. I thought I was going to be a travel blogger. And so all of the older videos are travel videos. And they're actually pretty terrible because I was scared to talk to the camera. And so it's just a bunch of like images of somebody traveling, but nothing about me. And I've learned, since then, and obviously pivoted more towards yoga and meditation now. But when we're allowed to travel, I'm definitely gonna travel again.
Absolutely. Something else you mentioned was the importance of sleep.
What
tips do you have about sleep and rest?
Oh yeah. That's also very important for your immune system, is giving your body that time to sleep and relax and rest and recharge. And there's a practice called Yoga Nidra that I learned first with a teacher in Florida and then during my training in India. And that's a deeply relaxing, guided not a meditation, but a guided relaxation. And it really gets you out of your head and into your body and just relaxes each part of the body. And a lot of people fall asleep during it. That's not the goal. But it does really help you relax. And I've been using that for years. And, especially when you're really stressed out during the day, it can help to, there's also these like sleep stories online. There's apps like
Yeah.
Calm and Headspace and things like that to help you, you know, shut down for the day. And because there's a lot of stuff, that we're worrying about, and you don't want it to keep you up at night because, again, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Stay up worrying about things and can't get sleep, and then you will lower your immune system and be more
Yeah.
susceptible and just not be happy because we need our sleep.
Plus, it's also to fall into bad habits, right? Because most of us aren't having to get up and work and be in the office and commute.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of us are staying up late watching TV or whatever, and then going to bed late and getting up later, or going to bed late and getting up at the same time. So not getting as much sleep as you used to. I think
Mm-hmm.
with this whole quarantine thing, which most of us are just not used to, it's very easy to fall into those bad habits. And that's something I fell into that trap, actually. And I was just getting 5 hours sleep a night, which is not enough for me. So now I'm building habits into my day using the Streak app of wanting to get at least 7.5 hours. But I have to use the Irish method because I really struggle to sleep anyway.
Uh-huh.
And I use it's melatonin. Which
Mm-hmm.
is and I have to be careful because even though that's natural, I have to be careful, I think, not to overdo it with that because I could become reliant on it. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm always looking at hacks to be better at sleeping, and it may be that I have to do some kind of exercise before bed or something because my mind is constantly whirring.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, a lot of people's are. It's natural right now. So I think finding some kind of ritual at night that helps you rewind, maybe turn off your phone or computer for the last hour of the evening. Like I know that works for a lot of people. Don't
Yes.
have devices in your room, in the room where you sleep, if you can help it. Turning off all the lights. I have kind of like nature sounds, like cricket sounds that I listen to, and that's really soothing and relaxing. And, just even a gentle meditation, just getting into your body and out of your
Yeah.
head, stopping the monkey mind, as we call it a lot, where your mind's just jumping from branch to branch like a monkey in a tree. That's kind of the key to being able to sleep, is turning off the brain and being like, okay, those worries will still be there tomorrow. Now is the time to sleep and let go of that, and I can
Yeah.
worry about it tomorrow. And I still
Yeah.
have nights where I don't sleep as well, but I've been a lot more militant about my sleep lately. I'm like, I'm going to bed at this time, I'm waking up at this time.
And I think it goes without saying that alcohol does not help.
Mm-mm.
It might put you to sleep, but it's not a restful sleep. And that's one of the reasons why I looked at drinking a couple of glasses of red a night. I'm like, okay, this has to stop because I am waking up in the morning a bit cranky, not full of energy. Also, the other thing when I drink is then I get hungry. Then I end up eating something at 10 o'clock at night, which I shouldn't. So I think this is why it's important to actually have a list of habits. And one of mine is, no alcohol until the weekend, because that's what I do when I'm working in terms of being out and about. Just because I'm at home, it's not an excuse that I can drink more. And I know we're all worried and some of us turn to drink when we worry and we're frustrated, but that's something that I've now brought in. It's like, okay, that's it. That has to stop
Yeah,
because
we
it's
can
not
still drink
helping me.
something. You can replace it with something healthier, say a tea, like a chamomile tea or a
Yeah.
sleepy time tea, something that's going to give you something to do and drink, but will help relax the body and warm the body instead of just depressing it.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And in terms of eating, I know you're not a nutritionist, but what tips do you have any tips on what we can consume during these difficult times, and what are you doing to get through these times in
Yeah.
terms of
Well,
your diet?
I used to work for Whole Foods Market, so I got a big education in healthy eating, and I have a lot of friends that eat healthy and have, healthy blogs. I think, this is great that people are going to be cooking more from home. I mean, obviously you can still order takeout, but I think taking this as an opportunity to cook more from home, learn another skill, maybe cook healthier recipes. I've been trying new things. I have a website I really like called Budget Bites, like BYTES. I'll share with you. And there's all kinds of recipes on there. They're all generally pretty healthy, but you can get anything from salads to comfort food. And, I think I'm vegetarian, so I haven't eaten meat in over 10 years, and that definitely works for me and my body. And eating more fruits and vegetables, that's definitely going to help your immune system. You don't want to just be eating potato chips all day and processed foods. You definitely want more whole foods, natural foods, beans, nuts, legumes, fruits, vegetables, maybe limiting some meat and dairy. But I think cooking and eating at home is infinitely more healthy than just going through the drive-through or ordering takeout. I think we can still use that to treat ourselves. Like you said, okay, only on the weekends I'm going to order takeout, or I want to support, this local business, and order a sandwich, but I only do that once a day instead of for every meal. So, yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I like the idea, though, of maybe because we all now have this time at home, we're talking about learning new skills, and maybe we've always wanted to cook and we've never had time because we're out all day, and by the time we get home, we're tired. Maybe now go on to Budget Bites, or there's a lot of cooking courses online that we can do, and maybe learn to cook. If you love Italian food, maybe, learn to cook some Italian dishes, for instance. Now is the opportunity to do it. And I was saying to someone a couple of days ago that there's, this is just such a dark time for so many of us, but we have to say, okay, how can I use this time for something positive? And I know that might sound really bad if your business is about to hit, if you don't think you can survive and you're gonna have to close the doors in your business. I'm not, being, I'm sensitive to that. But what I also want to say is, right, let's say it's 3 months. Let's say we're in lockdown for 3 months. What can we do in that 3 months? It could be, might be a language you've always wanted to learn. And there's so many language courses online, or a cooking course, or like with video editing, maybe a musical instrument. Now we kind of have that time. It's like, please have something positive that when we get out of this pandemic that you can look back on going, wow, during that time I learned to play the guitar. Okay, maybe it was just Mr. Tambourine Man or something. I'm not talking Sweet Child of Mine here, but in that 3 months I was able to play an instrument and play a musical piece, or I learned basic Italian, or whatever it might be. In my case, I've been trying to learn Canva because that's something that has been on my list for forever, and I've just never got around to because I've never really had the time.
Yeah, now you're being kind of forced to do it because you have the time. You don't have any excuses. One more quick benefit to cooking at home: it's cheaper. It costs so much less money to get groceries from the store than to order out all the time. So I just wanted to throw that in there. But yeah, I think it comes back to control and choice. What's within your control and what's out of your control. Like this virus is out of our control. People canceling their reservations is out of our control. So many things with businesses are out of our control, but what you can control is your outlook and your perspective and, the choices and decisions that you make to eat healthy, to take care of yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, to, keep connecting with friends and family, all the things that you can do, focus more on those than the things that you can't control.
Absolutely. I love that. And I think in terms of the business side, something that I'm hearing a lot of our Tourpreneur listeners are doing is now they're focusing on their websites because they built a website, they've gone out, they're leading and delivering tours, but never really had time to sit and improve upon their website, and using this time to look at other websites around the world, other tour sites, look at what you like, what someone else is doing, how can you implement that on your own website. SEO, which I think is the most boring topic and most boring task in the world. I hate it, though it's crucial. Now is the time to go through an SEO audit of your own website and say, right, I have this downtime. I'm going to use it in a way that's constructive. I'm going to work on SEO on my own site. So I think there are a lot of things, or go to udemy.com, and maybe writing. That's something else that I've been working on, is my writing. It's something that I very rarely have time for. Maybe one of your habits would be, so I've got this app called Streaks.
Oh, cool.
And I'll put the link to it in the show notes.
Mm-hmm.
And if I look at it right now, basically every day I have to like hit the button to complete it, that I've done it. So
nice.
I have six. Yeah, it's really worked for one thing in particular. So 102 days, actually, because I didn't do it for today, 103 days ago, I decided I would have a morning habit of 20 push-ups as soon as I get out of bed.
Ooh, that's great.
Don't do anything else. Before I make tea or whatever, it's like push-ups, got to be done. So it's a 103-day streak. But the other things I've added to this app is, 6 miles plus of movement. That can be biking, walking, running, whatever. 30 minutes guitar, because I think I can play guitar for 5 minutes learning and I'm going to be good. That's not going to happen. I really need to do 30 minutes a day, right? So now I have that time. I have something here that says no alcohol, which is for weekdays. That's quite new. I have 30 minutes of a business podcast or a book, and then 20 squats a day.
Oh, great.
Which is a new one. And I find by having this tracker, so you can see it with the push-ups. Like 103 days ago, I could hardly do 5 push-ups. Now I should really increase the 20, right? If I'm going to do it right. But
more than I can do.
I'll take it. But it's because of this tracker that I've been able every day just to build that. Now that's a habit. I get up in the morning and I do those push-ups without even thinking about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's what you want to build habits. You want it to, start with building the healthy habits. That sounds like a great app to keep you on track. And then the habits become your lifestyle. So I think it's a great opportunity to build healthy habits and improve your lifestyle, and maybe get to those home, improvement projects you haven't done in a while, or, spend more time with your kids, or whatever it is that you've been meaning to do, or maybe you're forced to do now. And using that time, once life goes back to some semblance of normal, still retaining some of these habits that you started during this time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Miranda, is there anything we haven't touched on that you'd like to share with our listeners?
I think just, the key to success is finding what works for you and what you're going to keep doing. And it's different for everyone. So, what works for me is walking outside in nature, and meditation and yoga, and even weightlifting. Sometimes I'm trying to figure out how to pivot from that since my gym's closed. I guess I have to buy some weights and do it from home.
I've been using resistance bands.
Oh, cool,
and I used to think that they weren't very good. And I got them I think they're called Under Sun Fitness. Wow, I've been blown away. They kicked my ass.
Wow.
It's just a band. And the good thing about it is squats, because when you hold the band up, you have to have that band above your head when you're squatting. So if it comes forward, then your form is wrong, right? And I'm sure I get the form wrong all the time because I don't have any mirrors or anything at home when I do it. So the bands are really good, and they don't take up much space,
nice.
and
That's a
you
great
just
idea.
hang them up. I was talking to Doug Quinby about it. He also is a big fan of resistance bands. So
nice. Yeah, I think movement is key too, because exercising, that's going to give you the endorphins. That's going to keep you positive. That's going to make your body feel good and your brain feel good, emotionally make you feel good. So yeah, finding whatever works for you, with doing something outside, doing something for your mental health, whether it's meditation or journaling, doing physically, moving, working out, getting exercise, maybe doing yoga, eating a little bit healthier. And just, I think it comes down to mindfulness, just being mindful of, how you're living right now, because we're forced to take a closer look at where we live and how we live when we can't focus as much on the other things, our social networks and our businesses and everything outside. It's kind of forcing us to do some self-reflection and introspection and get to know ourselves a little bit better, whether we want to or not. So we might as well want to and make the best of it.
Yeah, and I still want listeners to focus on, we will get out of this. I pray that your businesses survive it. And how do we come out of it stronger? Not just in terms of having a kick-ass website with superb gold standard SEO, but how do you come out with a stronger mindset, with some learning? One of the criticisms or complaints I hear a lot from tourpreneurs is, there's all these great books out there, but I don't have time to read. Now we do. Yeah. And also my biggest takeaway for those of you who are going to read some books, whether it's business or motivational, is to journal as you read. Don't just read. I think so many of us do this. We read a book, we get on to the next one. Read a book, on to the next one. We don't take time to go, what am I learning with each chapter? What can I apply to my life? Or maybe it'd even be like, what do you disagree with in that chapter? And write that down. So you have that, you distill your own personal learning. Don't just flip from one business book to another or motivational book. But now is the time. Also, audiobooks are fantastic. I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, that takes a while to get into. That can take 2 weeks to really train your ear to actually listen and to learn and absorb. You know, for some people, I was the same, because I'd be like, who's died? I'd have to rewind a chapter because my mind has gone, right? So it can take a little while, but audiobooks are just, what a phenomenal way you can get your steps in whilst you're learning.
Yeah, and driving too, because when I'm able to drive out to the mountains, it's usually an hour at least. And so I like to listen to podcasts and audiobooks when I'm driving as well. And it just works better for me. Like personally, reading a book makes me so sleepy, and I fall asleep almost every time I try to read a physical book. So audiobooks, helps me get through things a lot faster. And I do that as well, either on my phone or in a notebook. I'll write some notes here and there, like, oh, that was a great idea. Or, oh, I'm going to go, try this thing that this book mentioned. They're pretty much all, business and self-improvement books and autobiographies.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Another tip I have as well is music for me is very important. Mm-hmm. And majority of time when I'm listening to music, it's in the background. I'm working, it's in the background. Now what I've tried to do is to sit down, put a record on, and have no phone near me, maybe a cup of tea, and really enjoy the music. Because I find too often I'm not really appreciating the music. It's just kind of background noise. And I find that 40 minutes or so really just helps me escape the world. I appreciate the music. I read the sleeve notes. And, if you have Spotify, you can do it on Spotify or whatever. I mean, I just think, going back, maybe listening to music you've not listened to in a long time that a lot of music brings back memories for us.
Yeah.
And I think that's also something that can just help us escape the real world for a while.
Yeah, that's great. That's a mindfulness exercise. I think a lot of people are doing some of these things or would like to do these things and just don't have a name for it or don't realize they're already doing some of these woo-woo things that we're talking about.
Fantastic. Miranda, where can people find the resources you've talked about today?
So on YouTube, you can search Namaste Nature and the videos will come up. Also, my website, namasteinnature.com. I have those journal prompts there in the blog section. Yeah, but Namaste Nature, it's kind of both now. So if you just search Namaste Nature, the videos, the playlists will come up because I've done the SEO. I'm learning about SEO. So yeah, you can search Namaste Nature on YouTube.
I will add those links at tourpreneur.com/68. Well, Miranda, thank you very much for taking time out of your busy schedule. I know you're doing a lot of webinars and live streaming and podcasts. Really appreciate you talking about things that I don't think we talk about enough when it comes to being an entrepreneur, which is mental well-being.
Yeah, and I appreciate you creating the platform for that and featuring it, like you said, because it's not featured as much. And it's important to, I think, fill your own cup first before you can, fill others. And I think we forget about that, especially in our Western culture where it's all about success and business and growth. And it's like, well, you gotta make sure you're doing well first before you can, help other people and grow. So thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to the Tourpreneur Podcast. Be sure to visit tourpreneur.com to join the conversation and access the show notes, including links to the resources mentioned on today's episode. This is Tourpreneur.